Hello and welcome. This is James Blanchard, Cisneros, at your service. Today I will be reading the June 22nd Facebook post, and I will be making a few comments on it, and I trust it will assist both of us on our journeys. Here we go. Merging into oneness. We are all one, and in the process of remembering and becoming examples of this oneness. Thus, when another says or does something that is because some part of us finds it of use in helping us remember this oneness. When you start merging into oneness, you begin noticing how everyone and every moment, both good and bad, are being used to help you achieve greater self-awareness. When you begin to understand this usefulness, your sense of gratitude is magnified. This magnification then begins to encompass everyone and all. How many teachers has God gifted to us? How can we lose our way when He has filled this world with so many who helped us along our journey? A day is coming when the understanding of this oneness will start turning strangers into sisters and foes into friends. A day is coming when those we once sentenced to a life without us will be forgiven and fully embraced, and those we once hated will now be harbored by us in only perfect, all-encompassing love and understanding. God is love, and love is all, and therefore this love, this allness, is this oneness. Now we have been programmed by the ego to believe in an opposition to love, an opposition to all. And this uses its tools such as judgment, self-judgment, lack of self-worth, anger, resentment, jealousy, revenge, stress, anxiety, all in efforts to support its thought system as true. But if indeed we all remembered our oneness, then we would have no use for the ego. And that's why all the ego's tools are so important to it. Because if we believe in the ego's tools, then the ego gets to survive. And so here we are, in a place of perfect love, where every moment is a gift. But we have simply forgotten that indeed every moment is an expression of love in one form or another. Every moment is a gift to us and for us giving it to this world. But we have forgotten, and that's fine. That's just where we are right now. We're all on a journey to remembering who we truly are so that we can become expressions of who we were always meant to be, this love. So I'm going to offer 3 examples, and each one a little more extreme than the other, just for the sake of ego thinking, for the ego mind, so that we can simply digest it and figure that maybe it's not as real as we've been programmed to see it as real. Okay, example number 1. Let's talk about driving in your car. And the ego has programmed us to curse our brothers and sisters who cut us off, or we think are driving inappropriately. Then we judge them, we curse them, and the ego says it's perfectly safe to do that, and it's perfectly normal to do that, and that you will not be hurt by it. And so you go ahead and do it. You go ahead and curse them. You go ahead and think negatively about them. But the situation is that we're all one. And so there's nothing we can do to our brother or sister that we don't do to ourselves. So we can go ahead and play the ego's game and judge our brothers and sisters for driving in some way that we perceive to be unacceptable, and then judge them for that. And then we judge ourselves for judging them, and then we feel bad. And so we do this over and over and over again. And little by little we start to realize that, you know what, this is not making me feel good. The ego told me that if I judge them, it's not going to hurt me, because we're separate beings. So why is it that when I'm thinking negative thoughts about these individuals, why does my blood pressure go up? Why do I feel like I'm poisoning my own self with my own thoughts? And it's simply because we're all one. And so in the ego's game, you're allowed to judge and criticize, and the ego tells you it's normal and correct, and you go ahead and do that over and over again until you start to realize that this is simply not you. The ego's thinking it's not you. And so you start to try other things like offering forgiveness, praying for those individuals who are driving in an uncomfortable manner, offering them love, forgiving them, and all these things that are expressions of love, extensions of love: forgiveness, compassion, understanding, kindness. When you start to offer them, you start to realize your oneness, because first you judged them and you felt bad, and now you're offering them love through its extensions such as forgiveness, kindness, compassion, understanding, and then you're feeling at peace. And so you start to notice, yes, my brother and I are indeed one. But it was only because we went through the ego's maze that we figured out that we didn't need it. And so we do not, once we align with our oneness, we do not judge our past, because our past simply helped us realize where we don't want to be. And so our past helped us actually align with our oneness. And so when we align with our oneness, we offer gratitude to our past self for all he or she had to go through to become us. And then we start offering gratitude to all our brothers and sisters, because they were part of a process that helped us heal. So we no longer look at our past self or their past selves with judgment and criticism. And now we instead come into this oneness and offer them gratitude for the part they played in our self-awareness. So that's one way we can switch from the ego's belief in separation and using the ego's tools to realigning with our oneness. A second way we can, second example I will use is a little more extreme. Let's say a woman is being abused by her husband or boyfriend or whatever. Little by little, the woman takes this abuse for X or Y reason. And obviously it's not a loving situation. And every single individual deserves love, deserves compassion, deserves kindness. And that's deep down inside, we know we deserve this, because these are all extensions of love. These are all extensions of this oneness. But many of us don't believe we are worthy of love, of peace, of joy, of being treated compassionately. And so we go through these processes. We go ahead and play in the ego's game and start to feel the illusion, feel the opposition of what we really want. And so we become abused by our partners, let's say. And then we become abused over and over and over again. But little by little we start to realize that, this is not how I want to live. This is not how I want to be treated. I want to be at peace. I want to have a compassionate partner. And so you start to love yourself more and more. And the more you align with self-love, the more you align with who in truth you are, this oneness, the more you desire to be an expression of this oneness and to have your partners become an expression of this oneness. And so in the ego's world, the ego will try to tell you that you deserve to be punished, that you're experiencing this because you're not good enough, you're not wise enough, you're not spiritual enough, you're not deserving enough. Whatever programmed ideas we have been taught as real, we have to deprogram. And so our brothers and sisters are a part of helping us deprogram from the ego's thought system. And so little by little we start to not want to be abused and start to think that we should be loved, that we should not be abused. And so little by little we increase our self-love and decrees the ego's thought system as real. Say, no, we don't deserve this anymore. I deserve peace, I deserve love, I deserve compassion. And so little by little we grow. And so we can do things in the outer world, such as separating from our partner. We can have a restraining order, because that could be the most loving thing we can do for ourselves. And the world would somehow judge that as negative, but you're being self-loving by getting a restraining order. And if your partner breaks the restraining order, you're being self-loving by calling the police. And then if he continues to do that, you call the police again, and they arrest him and they put him in jail. And the ego would judge that as unkind, but in truth it's the most self-loving thing you're doing for yourself, and most probably for that individual, so he can have time to think about what he's doing. And so you see, even these situations where the ego says, see, you're here. You're in this world, and you're here because you deserve to be in this world. But once we start aligning with our oneness, we see that, no, we actually don't belong here. But it was only because we were here for so long that we finally realized that, this is not, I'm much more worthy than what I'm experiencing right now. And so this stuff that was quite ugly in the ego's perception, or in the world's perception, actually helped us heal. And so when we align with our oneness, we start to see that every step on the process helped us unite with this oneness. And then after you leave that situation, maybe you can become a teacher of self-worth, of believing that you're worthy enough of having peace, and maybe helping other people who are going through that situation. And then those people who are going through the situation will listen to you more because you have been through what they have gone through, or they're going through. And so that's another example of how we can leave the ego's thought system and return to oneness, and then be an example of this oneness to others. And the third and final example that I will use is another more extreme example. This situation with the Charleston shootings, where 9 of our brothers and sisters were killed by a very lost soul. Obviously the world, when looking at it through the ego, would look at this situation as a total tragedy, travesty. But if we come from this place of oneness, there's something within us that chooses to trust in God's plan more than in the ego's plan. And so, yes, these 9 individuals, these 9 brothers and sisters, are in heaven now. And those who are aligned with oneness understand that where they are now, a million times better of where we all are right now. And they're blessed to be there. Now, that's true. Yet, there's individuals who love them who are still here, and those are the ones we should focus on more to try and help them heal. But if you see how the situation is going on right now in Charleston, and the expressions of the families, and all the forgiveness they're offering this lost soul who killed their family members, a lot of these family members are offering forgiveness to this individual. Now, for a lot of people, this seems almost impossible. But it's simply because these people who are offering forgiveness to this lost soul are aligned with their oneness, are aligned with God, with love. And they know that their family members are perfectly okay now. And they know that to remain aligned with this oneness, they need to forgive the individual for them to have peace. Because those who are aligned in oneness have no interest in judging others or judging self. They forgive the individual, not because of some ego decision. It's simply because that's who their true nature is. Their true nature is forgiveness, compassion, kindness, understanding. And so they simply offer who they are to that individual. Now, that's not saying let's leave that individual free to roam the streets. The most loving, self-loving and loving thing that society can do right now is put that individual in jail and let him think about his actions. And that way we have a certain level of safety from this individual who's obviously very lost. And so these family members become this incredible example of forgiveness over an extreme tragedy according to the ego. And so you look at your own life when you see these individuals forgiving this lost soul, this murderer really, to put it bluntly, when they forgive this murderer days, even hours after what he did, you look into your own life and you go, wow, if they can forgive that individual who murdered my father, my mother, my daughter, my son, why can't I forgive my brother or sister because they did X or Y and it made me mad? And so I'm not talking to them now. And so these individuals are offering this tremendous example of forgiveness, tremendous example of who in truth we all can be. And this is almost like it's definitely a national issue. But even this is going throughout the world. This example is going throughout the world. And this example of forgiveness over anger, resentment, revenge is being shown right here. Where 9 members, 9 wonderful souls were killed. Now their family has to deal with this issue, and they're offering forgiveness instead of revenge and hatred and anger. And so you see that example, and you use it for you can use it for your own life. And you can start asking yourself, why am I carrying on with resentment or anger or hatred? Why am I carrying with this stuff when what my family members or friends did to me is so much less than, in the ego's view, so much less than what this murderer did? If these individuals can forgive this murderer, can I not forgive my family? And what is really behind forgiveness or judgment? It's simply a self-worth issue. It's a self-worth issue because you're telling yourself that you are worthy of peace. When you choose forgiveness over anger, revenge, then you're saying when you forgive, you free yourself from the event. You free yourself and you find peace. When you use anger, judgment, revenge, then you're chained to the event and to that individual. For as long as you keep that anger, resentment, and revenge, you're chained. And because you're chained, what you're really saying to yourself is that I'm not worthy of peace. That's what, when you're hanging on to anger, resentment, and revenge, you're saying I'm not worthy of peace. But you are worthy of peace. And deep down you know you're worthy of peace. But in this situation, in those situations, there's only one way to peace, and that's to forgive. Forgive your brothers and sisters and set yourself free. Because you're once again aligning with your true nature, with oneness. And so, with the example of the driving, before you felt separated from those other drivers. Now because you forgive them, because you offer them compassion and understanding, it becomes a bigger bubble, so to speak. So these drivers who are your quote-unquote enemies or jerks or whatever now become your brothers and sisters. So this oneness increases. When you're forgiving people who you have anger, resentment, or thoughts of revenge at, you're increasing this oneness because you're putting more and more people into oneness, and we're all one. So you cannot think of somebody else apart from this oneness and be whole. To experience oneness, you have to forgive everyone and all. You have to choose to value forgiveness more than anger, compassion more than condemnation, peace more than pain. And when you do, you align with this oneness. And everybody else who you used to once judge now is included in this oneness to you. Maybe they are still buying into the illusion of themselves, and that's fine. That's their journey. Their journey is sacred to them, and yours is to you. But you, by aligning with your oneness, you become an example of oneness. And then, as our brothers and sisters are doing right now in Charleston, their family members, showing this world an incredible example of forgiveness. I mean, you can't ask for a greater example than that. Forgiving somebody who murdered your family, your son, your daughter, your father, your mother. I mean, that's what's possible. That's what is available to you in every moment. Every moment, you're being gifted with that choice to align with oneness, with love, with God, or to choose the ego's thought system of separation, of anger, of resentment, of jealousy, of anxiety, of stress. And we've been gifted that, free will. So let us today acknowledge in every single moment, let us simply slow down time and remember, wait a second, I have free will. I can choose oneness over the ego's thought system. I can choose to forgive my brother or sister over condemning them or having thoughts of revenge. I can choose compassion instead of condemnation. I can choose peace instead of pain. And so let us do that today and see how it feels, and simply practice this oneness. The more you practice this oneness, the more all-encompassing it becomes. Because the more and more time you spend in this energy, and the less and less time you spend in the illusion of separation. Thank you very much for your time. I love you very much. If you'd be so kind as to like, comment, or share the video, it would help with the listing process, and it might help somebody find this video someday. If you'd like to leave me a question or a comment, I would be delighted to try and offer a response. And if you can please subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would love to have you in that community. Again, thank you for your time. I love you very much, and God willing, we'll see each other tomorrow. Peace.